You know, we tend to think of our bodies as this collection of separate parts, right? You've got your brain, your heart, your immune system, all doing their own thing. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there are these secret conversations happening inside us all the time? Conversations that are completely rewriting everything we thought we knew about how our bodies actually work.
Okay, so let's start with the brain. For centuries, the central belief was that the brain was this untouchable fortress, totally sealed off and protected from the chaos of the rest of the body, especially the immune system. But what if that fortress had a secret back door this whole time?
Now that's a huge question, but it's not just some wild theory. When this massive discovery was first revealed, Dr. Kevin Lee at the University of Virginia put it perfectly. He said they will have to change the textbooks. And he wasn't kidding. This wasn't some minor update. We're talking a fundamental shift in how we understand the human body. So what exactly was this discovery that had scientists literally rewriting the books? Well, it all kicked off with a group of researchers who decided to take a much closer look at the brain's security systems. It was 2015. A team at the University of Virginia was studying the brain's drainage system. Not the most glamorous work, maybe, but they stumbled onto something absolutely incredible. They found a network of vessels that had never been seen before. Vessels that directly connected the brain to the immune system. This was a total game changer. So how on earth did they find it? Well, the crazy part is how these things were hiding in plain sight. A researcher figured out a new technique to melt the meninges, that's the membrane that covers the brain, onto a single slide. And boom, there they were, a hidden highway of lymphatic vessels running right alongside major blood vessels, so close that we had just missed them for decades. Okay, so the brain and the immune system are constantly chatting. That's huge. But what happens when that conversation goes wrong? This is where things get really interesting for all of us. All of a sudden, diseases that have just baffled scientists for years, things like multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, maybe even some forms of autism, suddenly they all had a new potential angle. What if our body's own defense force, the immune system, was actually causing some of these problems by sending the wrong signals up that hidden highway to the brain? Let's take Alzheimer's. For the longest time, the thinking was, it's all about amyloid plaques and tau tangles. But we now know it is so much more complicated than that. It's like a war being fought on 10 different fronts at the same time. And guess what's right in the middle of that battlefield? Neuroinflammation. The immune system going to battle inside the brain. And look, our failure to see this bigger picture has had devastating consequences. Just think about this. Over the last decade alone, we have tested more than 10,000 different drugs for Alzheimer's. Almost every single one was designed to hit just one of those targets, and nearly all of them have failed. It's a crystal clear sign that our whole approach has been wrong. And this is why that hidden highway is so incredibly important. A lot of the inflammation we see in the brain is driven by the brain's very own resident immune cells, these guys called microglia. If we can figure out how to talk to them, how to calm them down when they get too aggressive, we might finally have a real shot at treating these awful diseases. So it's clear we need a totally new way to think about these complex diseases. And sometimes the answer is hiding in plain sight. In this case, it might have been in a class of drugs that was designed for something completely different. I'm talking about GLP-1 agonists. You've probably heard about them as these new miracle weight loss drugs, right? But believe me, their real story is so much bigger than that. What they've accidentally uncovered is this incredibly powerful and totally unexpected connection between three major systems: our metabolism, our brain, and our immune system. So how do they pull this off? Well, you can think of them like a master diplomat, skillfully talking to three different parts of the body at the same time. They send signals to the pancreas to handle blood sugar. They talk to the brain to dial down cravings. And, crucially, they talk to the immune system to calm down inflammation all over the body. It's a masterclass in how our internal systems are supposed to communicate. And because these drugs are such incredible communicators, they're now being tested for a wild range of conditions. I'm talking Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, chronic kidney disease, even things like addiction to alcohol and opioids. It's like they've accidentally stumbled upon some fundamental conversation the body is having with itself, and we're only just now learning to listen in. All right, so we've established that these systems are all talking to each other. But what language are they speaking? What are they actually saying? To figure that out, we have to go to the source code, to the very blueprint of our bodies, our genes. So I want you to meet the IGVF Consortium. Think of these scientists as the cartographers of the human body. Their mission is truly epic, to create a complete map of our entire genome. Basically, a Google Maps for our DNA that doesn't just show where the genes are, but what they do and how even the tiniest little change can affect how they work.
And their strategy is both simple and absolutely brilliant. First, they map the whole genetic landscape. Then they perturb it. They intentionally break tiny little parts of the system just to see what happens. It's kind of like a cosmic game of Jenga, but with our DNA. And finally, they use everything they've learned to predict what will happen with any genetic variation. And the scale of this project is it's mind-boggling. We are talking about more than 2 million planned experiments. Each one is a tiny poke or prod to our genetic code to see how it reacts. This isn't just about watching our DNA from a distance, it's about getting in there and actively asking it questions to learn its secrets. So, what does this actually mean for you and me? Well, a genetic map like this could finally explain why a specific gene variant, like APOE4, so dramatically increases a person's risk for Alzheimer's. It's not just about knowing you have the risk factor, it's about understanding the why behind it, which is the first step to figuring out what we can do about it. So we've gone from secret tunnels in the brain to these multi-talented drugs to a complete map of our genes. What have we learned? What is the big takeaway from all of this scientific detective work? Well, it's this. The old model of the body, the one with all the separate parts, is officially dead. The brain, the immune system, our metabolism, they aren't separate kingdoms. They're not even just neighbors. They're basically roommates, constantly influencing each other in a language that we are only just beginning to learn. And that realization changes absolutely everything for the future of medicine. The goal isn't to find a single silver bullet drug for a single problem anymore. The future is about becoming a master conversationalist, learning to speak the body's own language, so we can gently guide its internal conversations back toward health. We've just started to listen in on the brain's secret talks with the immune system and that surprising dialogue between our metabolism and our brain. But it just makes you wonder, what other secret conversations is our body having right now? What other hidden networks are waiting to be discovered inside of us? The journey to find out has really only just begun.